They said he was finished. The media buried him. His own teammates looked away. But what Ronaldo did next shocked the entire world. The stadium was silent, not with peace, but with pressure, the kind of silence that feels heavy in the lungs, like the air itself was waiting for something to explode. Cristiano Ronaldo stood alone near the halfway line. Floodlights cast a silver glow on his face, but they also revealed something darker. Eyes from the crowd filled with doubt. The chants had changed, from cheers to cruel sarcasm, from idolizing to accusing. They said he was finished. They said he was too old, too arrogant, too slow. Commentators mocked his last game. Newspapers called it a fall from grace. Social media buried him with hate. Former teammates refused eye contact. He walked to the locker room that day, not like a star, but like a man being buried alive by silence. He sat alone on the bench. The room buzzed with murmurs and whispers, but no one spoke to him. His heart pounded like a war drum. His throat was dry. His palms were cold. But his eyes burned with something else. Memory, pain, fire. He remembered the boy who slept with a football under his pillow. The boy who left home to chase a dream with torn boots and empty pockets. The boy they once called a freak. They tried to kill that boy. With words. With rejection. With betrayal. But the boy had grown into a warrior. And that warrior was not finished. The next morning, he arrived at training early. Before the staff. Before the sun. The field was wet with dew. Each blade of grass shimmered like glass. He ran. He sprinted until his legs screamed. He kicked until his boots ripped open. He trained like it was war. Not to prove them wrong, but to remember who he was. 2 weeks later, the match day came. A crucial game. Packed stadium. Millions watching. He was benched. Again. Reporters smiled smugly. Fans groaned. Some even left. Then, an injury. At the 59th minute, the coach hesitated. The assistant whispered. But Ronaldo stood up. No words. Just movement. He stripped off his warm-up jacket. Stepped onto the pitch like a man walking into a fire. The crowd went quiet. Not respectful. Suspicious. First touch. A mistake. A misplaced pass. Laughter erupted. He heard it. Felt it. But he did not look away. Did not lower his gaze. He ran again. Pressed harder. Waited. Then came the moment. A long ball. Flying high. Swirling under the night sky. He sprinted. Shoulder to shoulder with a defender. Time froze. He jumped. Higher than anyone else. Like gravity had forgotten him. The ball met his forehead with a crack. A perfect header. Top corner. Goal. The net bulged. The stadium erupted. But Ronaldo did not celebrate. He just stood there, staring. Not at the crowd. Not at the cameras. But at the bench. At those who laughed. At those who left. His breath steamed in the cold air. But his body was calm. Eyes unblinking. It was not just a goal. It was a resurrection. The coach stood frozen. Commentators stammered. Even the crowd hesitated, because they had seen something unnatural, something unstoppable. A man who was supposed to be broken had just bent the world back to his will. And the game was not over. The whistle blew again. Play resumed. But something had changed. Not just a score. Not just the momentum. But the energy. It was electric now. Like every blade of grass had come alive. Like the stadium itself remembered who he was. His teammates began to look his way. For the first time in weeks. They trusted him with the ball. He dribbled past one. Then another. Quick feet. Sharp turns. A ghost in motion. The defenders close in. But he slipped through like smoke. Another shot. Saved. But now the fear had returned. Not in him. In them. Opponents looked over their shoulders. They stopped shouting. Started guessing. He was everywhere. Midfield. Wings. Deep back. Front line. A shadow they could not shake. At the 76th minute, he got the ball again. Far from the box. No angle. No support. The crowd expected a pass. He did not. He took one touch. Looked up. And struck. The sound of boot to ball echoed like thunder. It curved. It soared. It dipped. And it went in. Far post. kissed the net like it belonged there. The crowd gasped. Not cheered, gasped, as if they had just witnessed something forbidden. Now the bench stood. Even the coach, mouth open, eyes wide. The scoreboard lit up. 2-1. Ronaldo turned again. Not smiling, just walking. Calm, dead calm. He had done it before. But this was different. This was not just a goal. This was revenge served cold. Measured, calculated. The cameras followed his every step. But they missed one thing. His eyes. His eyes were scanning the stands, looking for one face. The journalist, the one who called him washed, who wrote Ronaldo's legacy ends here. Their eyes met, just for a second, long enough for him to know. The message was received. In the final minutes, the opponents pushed, desperate, frantic, but he held the line, dropped deep, tackled, cleared. He was no longer just a striker. He was a wall, a shield, a silent storm. Then, a final chance. The ball broke loose. Midfield. No defenders ahead. He took it. Ran. The crowd rose. Chance returned. But he heard none of it. All he could hear was his breath, his heartbeat, the pulse of years of anger, beating inside his chest. He reached the box. Goalkeeper rushed out. No time to think. He chipped. Soft. Precise. Unbelievable. The ball floated, hung in the air, and dropped like a falling star. Back of the net. Hat trick. He stood there, arms out, no smile. And the stadium lost its mind. Chants of "Sue," that once mocked him, now shook the ground. But he still did not celebrate. He walked to the sideline, subbed off, head down, not in shame, in control. The coach patted his shoulder. He did not stop. Past the bench, down the tunnel, into the silence, inside the locker room. He sat again on the same bench, same position, same posture. But this time, no one whispered, no one avoided him. They stared, with awe, with fear, with respect. He looked around, and finally he smiled, not because they believed again, but because he no longer needed them to. Outside, the headlines were rewriting themselves. Return of the King. Ronaldo defies time. GOAT strikes again. But he did not care for their headlines. He remembered the silence, the betrayal, and most of all, he remembered that they tried to end him, but they failed. He rose, untied his boots, looked once more at his reflection in the locker mirror. There were lines on his face now, aging skin, but in his eyes, the fire had never aged, and the world would burn before he let it die. He stepped into the hallway, dark, narrow, filled with echoes. Each footstep sounded louder than it should. The weight of the match had passed, but something deeper remained. He passed a wall filled with framed photos, legends, icons, names that once ruled the game. His own portrait was there, but dust had settled on its frame. He stopped, wiped it clean. Not out of pride, out of promise. This was not his final chapter. Not yet. Outside, reporters waited. Dozens of microphones. Hundreds of questions. He walked through them. Silent. Focused. One journalist, trembling, dared to ask, "What changed?" He stopped, turned slowly, looked her in the eye, and said, "They forgot who I was, so I reminded them." That was it. No press conference, no crowd wave, no interview. He disappeared into the black SUV. Windows up, world shut out. But inside that car, he sat with a calm no camera could capture, because he knew this was not a comeback. It was a warning to those who doubted, to those who counted him out, to those who tried to write his ending before the final chapter. In a world hungry to crown the next hero, they made one mistake. They forgot. The greatest never needed a crown, only a reason. And now, he had one.